Come on, hurry up. Come on, let's do it. Come on.
You hurry up.
You ready? Live from the Overpaid Directors Brunch Lounge, home of the industry's best echo chambers.
Oh.
It's a fresh daily dive into the boardroom blunders of corporate America. Today's top read, boards that fail like sports teams missing their playoffs. It's an all-new terrific Tuesday edition of Business Pants, joined by analyst Matt Mascardi. Woo!
Yeah, it didn't do the intro well.
On today's almond butter and AI jelly-filled proxy sandwich called October 15th, 2024, The Good Game.
Oh.
What Matt was referring to there is that over the weekend, he spent a lot of time inputting our scripts, our show scripts, into various AI services and asking them to write jokes for us.
Yeah,
and that was
correct.
the joke.
That was as good as it got.
I like that, though, live from the Overpaid Directors Brunch Lounge. That's a good start. That's a strong start. It kind of fizzled from there.
So if you're a listener to the show,
Directors Brunch.
we do biz nuggets, and I asked a couple of these things to do biz nuggets.
That is so dismissive.
One was kind of good.
That is such an angry AI. I love that.
Yeah, I was.
How do they know they're overpaid? And why? I love the dig that, like, there's some class warfare dig there about like a brunch lounge, right? Because elitists are always enjoying brunch while the homeless are like scrounging, right, for pennies. I like that.
Well, look, the AI services I use only use the knowledge I give them, and the knowledge I gave them was just our
I don't get it.
Show notes.
That's amazing.
That's it. So that's what it thinks of us. It thinks we are
the AI is onto something
anti-elitist.
because we don't actually talk about overpaid directors a lot. We talk about overpaid CEOs, but we should talk more about. There's a new study out actually that is studying the effect of how much directors make. That the fact that they have their pay has increased like 300% in the last somewhat like X years, 10 years. So we should focus more on director pay is what I'm trying to say.
We should. I don't think we've ever mentioned brunch, though. I think the AI came with that itself, which means it might understand us better than we understand ourselves. That's what I'm worried about.
All right, our show today is being sponsored by freeflowanalytics.com, the only platform measuring board power connections and performance for free.
Yeah, for free. It's amazing that I had to pay $20 to subscribe to a couple of AI things to get and to have it look at information and things that's free on freeflowanalytics.com, right? Like, it's just, what a stupid universe we live in.
Do the AI services come with, like, Netflix, like Cobra Kai, Stranger Things?
No, it didn't even.
Because ours does. Freeflowanalytics.com does come with Cobra Kai. all 25 seasons.
Don't hold us to that.
All right, come on, let's play the good game.
All right, do we have good game music? I
It's
don't
up
even
to
know.
you.
Let's just listen to this.
I'm looking at the recent stats in the good game. This is how the good game works. I pick headlines that seem good, but our esteemed pundit Matt Mascardi steps in to actually tell me if they're good or not by giving me an objective, just like Jeffrey Sonnenfeld. He gives me an objective score.
Objective.
Right? 0
that's
to
all
10.
I do. That's
completely
all I do.
objective.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But I have noticed that you have been becoming more depressed recently. In July, your scores, in June you were 6.6, July 6.3, September 10th 5.6, September 24th 5.4. You're going down every show, every good game.
Well, let's be clear. Most of that time, my children have been so. First of all, now like Ari and Jesse aren't in the office.
Yeah, where'd they go?
They're off having adventures, like real people.
Greener pastures, as they say.
And second, as soon as school started, all my children got pneumonia. So it has not been a good run for me interpreting these headlines.
I don't think it's going to get any better. This is a struggle. I looked at all the headlines in October so far.
16
I
headlines.
have a lot of them,
struggle.
but it doesn't mean they're good. Let's just get right to it. I actually broke these up into categories this week for you because I know that you struggled to sort of process knowledge,
everything,
and information,
life. Yeah.
So we're gonna look at the environment. We're gonna look at diversity. We're gonna look at labor. We're gonna look at stakeholders, rule, and finally, we're gonna end on a speed round. Come on, let's get to it. Come on.
All right, let's do it. Let's do it. Go,
First
go,
headline.
go.
Global EV sales up 31% in September as China shines.
You just wanted to say China.
I like this. I like China shining. I like China. I like every country.
But here's all of them, really?
Why not? Why not?
The inevitable. This is like a nice short-term feel.
Okay.
But Europe is talking about massive tariffs on Chinese
they're currently
EVs.
at 45%, but I think they're about the balloon, right?
And the U.S. is, if Trump is elected in 3 weeks, is talking about like basically no China, like nothing.
I don't understand.
Just EVs though. We're just going to hand the market to Elon Musk because he's donating to Donald Trump. So
I don't get this. My family, like many American families, have owned Japanese cars since the 70s. We've only owned Subarus since the 70s. Why can't I own a nice, cheap Chinese EV? I want one. I want a nice Chinese EV.
Well, you have to recognize that in the 80s, when the Japanese cars were increasingly getting shipped here, this is what they did then, too. It's all protectionism, right? Like, it's all like...
Didn't work.
Of course it doesn't work, and it's not going to work for a long time.
Let's not forget that China is a quote-unquote perceived enemy of the state, whatever that means. When the Japanese car revolution happened in the 70s, that was only like 3 decades after they fought with the Germans on the Axis side of the World War II. Right?
Yeah. Well,
that's a real enemy, an actual enemy.
In the 80s, we could buy
Japan.
Beamers from BMW, which was a German company.
That's true, too.
We basically just bought stuff from the axis of evil. That's all we did.
But China, which we've never been in a war with, and we may never be in a war with, is somehow our enemy. But yeah, go ahead.
What I like is that like these sales are up. There's so many companies that have been talking about like backing off EV sales and going to do hybrids or just gas. Or I've been hearing about companies like exploring more hydrogen cars again, and it's like, get over it. EVs work; they're great.
Yeah, they're great.
Drive one.
They look nice.
They're super. They look nice. Get over it. I'm giving this a 7.
Oh wow, that's weird. I'm surprised you're starting off with a bang. Next one. In the environment category, a natural gas company just became the first to be sued over climate change. So this is out of Oregon. They're suing a bunch of gas companies like Shell,
aren't
Exxon.
They suing?
So now they're suing Northwest Natural. Do you care about this? Misleading customers about fossil fuels and the dangers they pose to the environment.
I mean, this is like, isn't this old hat? I mean,
I guess.
How is this good? What's the good part about this? It's just because it's the first natural gas only, right?
Stakeholders fighting back. Is that good?
Have they won at all? Like, have they been fighting back for 30 years?
Yeah, I know.
So I'm giving this a 5. There's nothing.
All right, let's move on.
Yeah.
That's it for the environment. That's it. Because believe me, there is so much horrible stuff in the environmental categories that we track on the news we track.
That's the problem.
Probably because of super mega hurricanes fueled, of course, by the heating waters of climate change. So there's not really any good news in this area.
We're going to have problems with the good game sort of in perpetuity.
Yes.
It only seems like the news is trending in one direction overall, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, you have 2 presidential candidates who are barely talking about the climate. Let's be real. I mean, Harris is a bit better, obviously, but she's not really talking up like major policy change.
Well, I mean, look, I went canvassing in Pennsylvania over the weekend, and it's like
you physically went to Pennsylvania.
Yeah. I drove to Pennsylvania. All it is you're going
in
to find
EV car
in a minivan with 5 teenagers.
Okay.
It's a plug-in hybrid, and
that's acceptable.
You're knocking on doors and you're just trying to get voters out. You're not trying to change minds or anything like that. It's just like, make sure you're registered. If you need any help, let us know, kind of thing. And you're data collecting. When I was walking down the main street of Milford, PA, there was a Trump, like it's a Republican county seat and the
Sure.
Democratic county seat. They had a guy, they were waving flags and they were like yelling and cars are beeping when you're going by and it's like a whole thing.
Terrible.
Right?
Sounds annoying.
There was a guy just standing out there and every brown person who drove by, he said, illegals get out, yelled at their cars.
Oh, wonderful.
So I'm not sure if Harris like says the climate's a problem, if she's really going to be talking in the same language as any of it. Like,
I hear you.
What are we doing?
I hear you. I'm not making a bigger statement about Harris versus Trump. I'm just saying that I'm not too sure that either one of them is about to solve the climate crisis. That's all I'm suggesting.
How dare you? Yeah, how dare you?
I'm trying to keep this bleak is what I'm trying to do. And by the way, that sounds horrible.
Can we do the bleak game?
I got to tell you, I am so lucky to live in a bubble because first of all, I haven't even seen a Trump sign. But second of all, there's no honking at brown people in my community. There's none of that.
It was something else.
I'm thrilled about that.
It's not like it was like living an episode of The Daily Show where Jordan Klepper goes into Trump rallies.
Yeah.
It was like that. It was really bizarre. It felt like another universe.
Oh, let's move over to a diversity category. Speaking of another universe. This is interesting, this first one. How gender biases shape investor response to shareholder activism. So listen to this, Matt. Investors view CEOs more favorably when they respond to shareholder activism in ways that conform to gender stereotypes, according to new Cornell research. So basically, the activist likes the female CEO who acts like a quote-unquote a woman and is more cooperative. And they like male CEOs who are not cooperative and are pushy and act like men. What do you think about this?
What is this?
I don't know, but I had to throw this in here for you to complain about.
This is a zero.
Why is this a zero?
Because first of all, you have to come at it with some conception of what it is to have a woman quality versus male quality, right? So already you're
but there's a lot of academic research on this, though.
And then there's a bias on top of the bias, which is I am going to subconsciously evaluate the CEO by how womanly or manly. And
Look,
and what's the sample size on female CEOs? 7?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, none.
What do we really do? This is the stupidest study I've ever seen.
But here's the thing: I'm at least relieved that they weren't angry that women weren't acting more like men. That's my takeaway.
That was your takeaway. That's a real stretch.
All right, well, come on. What's your grade? Come on.
It's a 0. That's a 0.
That's just because you hate Cornell. Because you're ruining the scores.
All right, Cornell, I like you. That's a 0.
Moving on. Maybe this one will be better. 29% of C-suite roles are now held by women. 29%. It doesn't distinguish, unfortunately, between is that CEO? Is that chief?
That's all the chief marketing officer.
Chief marketing. Yeah, I don't know. But
okay,
29%. 29%.
So let's do the basic math. The C-suite is usually what? 4 to 5 people. It's a CEO.
No, not necessarily. Could be more.
Let's say on average, a CEO,
on average, maybe.
A COO, head of marketing or investor relations or something like that.
Human resources.
Or people.
Yeah.
And legal, usually
Chief
like that.
Growth officer. They love that.
And then oftentimes, there's one sort of technical person, like a head of technology or a head of engineering or so you've got 6 people there, right? Oh, they're not
Roughly
the CEO. We know that.
We know they're definitely not the CEO.
Oh, and I left out CFO. We know that
there are a lot of women. There are more and more women in that role.
But we know they're not the COO. They're never the COO, right?
Well, I don't see that a lot.
29% is effectively 1 in 3, which means that out of the 6-ish roles, the 2 that as you eliminate things that are left over are head of human resources and head of legal. And we know this empirically. We can count it. We've done it before. Mm-hmm. We know that those are almost all disproportionately women.
It correlates with the attainment of educational degrees, right? The law schools are granting way more degrees to women.
Yes. Yeah. So the situation, what this headline says, it implies that like there's more leadership by women, but what it doesn't say is that women are getting slotted into the C-suite in the same roles. But it's like head mother.
However, when we started this show in 1982, remember that in that first show in 1982?
I remember. Yeah.
This figure was 2.9%. 2.9%. So now it's 29%. It was bleak. It's progress.
Progress is slow and steady, right?
Yes.
Like so by 2074, by 2074, when they release Tron 13, we will be
What's your score?
at
Come on.
40% C-suite roles. This is a 3. This is what is this? What is this good game?
All right, now this one you're gonna like. E.L.F. Beauty. This is the.
All right, I already like it.
Are they S&P
E.L.F,
500? Are they Fortune 500? E.L.F. Beauty.
I
they're in our
don't think
database.
so.
I know that they're definitely in our database.
Freeflowanalytics.com.
E.L.F. Beauty and the North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University. This is the nation's largest historically black college or university. I did not know that. It's the largest historically black college in the country. They released a paper called the Not So White Paper, linking diverse boards to corporate success. I wanted to point out a few of these areas that they covered in this paper.
This is going to be a 10 anyway.
Over a decade of research shows that diversity in the boardroom can have several positive benefits, including higher return on equity, reduced financial risk, better returns for shareholders, and fewer lawsuits. I like that last one.
Actually, so that conforms to research that we did.
Yeah, like many years ago, right? Like 8 years ago. Yeah.
That showed that having more women on the board.
I'm glad it holds up.
There's always trying to prove a link between performance and gender diversity or diversity of some kind. That's the wrong thing, because you want to really, what diversity means is it's like a risk adjustment. It's defense, not offense. And when it's offense, it's usually long-term offense, like innovation, like because you want different perspectives. But the way you actually see this, like when you think of it as immediate defense, is fewer controversies, which is what we found 14 years ago, and less lawsuits. And, basically they're not as shitty. You're avoiding shittiness.
Is that an academic term? Is that from the paper?
I believe that's what they wrote down.
Shitty.
That wasn't in the Cornell report, though. That was the problem. No. I like this. This is a 10.
Easy 10.
I like anything that conforms to my deeply held beliefs.
To our former papers. Yeah. Let's move on to labor. A bunch of headlines in labor. Unions defy their leadership with more no votes on contracts. So they're saying, fed up with inflation and seizing a moment of labor power, workers at Boeing, AT&T, and Southwest reject deals negotiated by union bosses. What do you think about this? I picked it. Part of the reason I picked this out is because we have a activist battle heating up at Southwest. We have a strike at Boeing that's now 5 weeks long. They just announced that they're laying off 10% of workforce, which is horrible, of course.
I'm not sure how to feel about this.
Yeah,
because the workers seem to be pushing for more, which I don't generally have a problem with. Although at some point you hostess cupcake or Twinkie the whole thing and sink the company. But on the other hand, and this goes back to the fact that I was canvassing. I spoke to a lot of union people who said their unions are like aligned with one candidate or another, and they're all on the fence as individuals. Mm-hmm. And it's very interesting to me because it's like the inflation question, like who controls inflation? It's not like your bargaining is A, part of inflation, and B, also like you have been left out of the inflation, right? Like it's usually just the C-suite and the shareholders that make the money, and you don't. So I don't know. This one's like somewhere in the middle. Like I don't know what you expect of the union bosses, nor do I feel bad for you for asking for more. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I'm giving this a 5. So that's a long-winded 5.
You basically passed on that one.
Yeah, I don't know what to feel.
I think you're going to like this next one. I tried a tool that lets your coworkers rate your character. The startup behind it wants employers to use it for hiring.
This is the greatest
Come on,
thing
you would have used this at MSCI. You would have used this. Come on. Rate your coworkers' character. That's fun.
I would have made the tool if I could have.
This is their version of the good game, but in corporate imagine like State Street, imagine
No.
BlackRock, Fidelity, all using this tool, right, to rate their. Like, I saw her steal his yogurt, so I'm going to give her a 2. That kind of thing.
I think this is actually your dream. I actually think this
But
is.
I didn't make this up. This is real.
I know you didn't make it up, but like you used to
like
make
rating
jokes
things.
about wet khakis in the office, and
I like rating things.
And you love rating. Who was it? Was it the Verizon CEO who has a spreadsheet where they do 1 through 5 every day how they feel? I think this is I love it too. It's fabulous. It's a 9. It's a 9.
I just want to get this data into our
Rate
database.
your
Loopholeanalytics.com.
Character.
Amazon could be forced to treat drivers as employees. That's the headline. So we
That
see this
they
all the
don't
time.
is the shocking part.
Yeah, right. We see this all the time with Uber, with Lyft, with any of the stuff in the gig economy. Right. We see this. So labor regulators are pushing for this, possibly opening the way for more unionization. What do you think about this? I mean, this is a no-brainer, right?
It's a no-brainer 5 because they could be
5.
forced to do it. Yeah,
right, I hear you. All right.
And that nothing's
enough.
actually happened. This is also
Fair
Uber and Lyft doing the same thing where they could have been employees, but they win everything because they lobby. So
last one in the labor category, another one that you're going to like. Home Depot. I mean, I don't know if you can have a positive or negative reaction, but you're going to like the headline. Home Depot orders corporate staff to take 8-hour retail shifts. I mean, this is another one of my dreams, right? Like, I want this at all companies. I want all C-suite people, all management to do like shifts.
didn't they make a show about this? Like My Undercover Boss or something? Isn't
Maybe,
that like what it is?
yeah.
Or like the boss
Actually,
is
that's
like,
right. Yes.
tends to be a
Yeah,
retail employee.
They put like a prosthetic goatee on, and then they go do something.
And then they go like at the fry-a-later for 3 hours, and then they see all the challenges at their own company, and either the bosses change or the employees are embarrassed.
Well, they did this at Starbucks too. Laxman Narasimhan, who was CEO for like 18 months, he tried to do this. He tried to be a barista, and then he got fired.
And he got fired.
Didn't
for
work
it.
out.
He
Didn't
was a
work out.
horrible barista, apparently. I look. I'll out my bias on this.
Yeah.
My mom was a high school teacher.
Yeah. I don't
And
like where
she
this is
used to
going.
complain all the time that the school board, the superintendent, like the
yes.
administration.
I can back you up on this. My mom was a first grade teacher. Exact same. That's all I heard as a kid. 90% of all conversation in the home was her like bitching about the administration.
About them, about the
Yes.
fact that they never taught,
Exactly.
and they have no idea.
And they would come
what it's
into the
like.
classroom and evaluate them. They would
Yes.
loom in the background with a clipboard. This is
Right.
this is 1924, of course, where they had clipboards.
There is no better. I know it seems like an inefficient use of time to somebody, but there is no better way to actually. This is why free float is what it is. We started this company because we analyze stuff.
Yeah.
We analyze directors, we analyze governance, we analyze people.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't stop once we made a database and started selling it. Like
We're
didn't,
trying to stop, but we haven't stopped.
honestly, like the amount of grunt work we end up doing is really high, and it's on purpose because it's the only way you can know. I love it. It's a 10.
All right.
That's
easy-
the correct
easy.
answer also.
Let's move over to stakeholders' rules. So these are all the headlines where stakeholders are fighting back against their corporate overlords. That's a bit strong, what I just said, but you get the idea.
Yeah, no wonder why the AI said brunch
I
lounge.
didn't really mean that. All right. This first one is a great one. Ryanair is retaliating
I
against
already don't
Germany's tax hikes, right? By slashing routes and cutting 1.8 million seats. To me, this is like a victory.
I love
right?
this.
I mean,
I love it. I love stop flying.
It's a win for the world, right?
Stop flying. Ryanair is charging like 90 cents to fly all over the place, and then they charge you like
Egregious.
$10 to have a cup of water on the plane. There is no reason to fly all over the place. Stop flying. There's great.
I love that they think they're
railroads.
retaliating. Like, I know you hate when I mention France. France recently is outlawing these short hop flights, right? These flights that you
intra-France flights.
right
yeah.
that you should be taking a train because the train is 1,000 times more marvelous anyway. But I love that the airline thinks that they're punishing people by getting rid of these stupid flights.
Honestly, I really think the greatest failing of capitalism is convincing people that your time it has a monetary value.
Right.
Like boredom is great, but like having time to like read, sit, think, not be distracted, put your phone away, like just be forced to look out the window and think. Like,
Staying on the ground is great
fabulous.
too. Staying on the ground is nice.
I love the ground. Yes, I do. I'm a big fan of the ground.
What's your score on this one?
I'm going to give this an 8 for the reasons
right.
that you're saying, which is it's not retaliation. It's
Retaliation. Next one, TD Bank. We talked about this in the show last week. TD Bank was a safe haven for criminals, feds say, and will pay $3 billion fine for. So what do you think about this fine?
I
Justice?
think that, no, it's never justice. It's like tax deductible. It's a 5. I'll give it a 6 for being something, right? Like you got to do it.
Well, yeah, that's true. It is. It's not like could be forced to treat drivers as employees. They are being fined
Right.
by the
They are
feds.
getting fined. Right.
British pharma is another one of these types of situations. British pharma giant GSK. We never talk about GSK. They strike a $2.3 billion deal to put an end to 80,000 U.S. lawsuits, and I believe these were lawsuits that were alleging that I don't remember the product, but it was giving people cancer. I mean, this is like a big
Isn't
deal.
it the heartburn thing, like Zantac
Yes, exactly,
or something?
exactly.
That's what it
Heartburn
is?
medicine. 80,000 lawsuits.
I took Zantac. Like
How do you feel?
not in the last 10
how's your heart?
years. Like I feel not cancerous yet.
Okay. Oh boy.
All these deals to me, like, so let me ask you, what is the monetary value of you getting cancer?
Oy vey. That's the answer.
Right. So like whenever they do one of these deals, right? Like it's sort of like I don't know how to feel about it because it's like, you know, for some of them, like we talked about a company on Proxy Countdown that was making, you know, implants like IUDs for women, and it was perforating their uterus.
Johnson Controls?
No, I don't think it was Johnson and Johnson. It was
Boston something.
Pfizer, I think, bought them at some point. But the point is, what's your uterus worth, right?
Well,
Like,
I'll tell you this. I just did the quick math. 2.3 billion divided by 80,000 is $28,750. That's not a lot. If that's assuming that people even get that full amount.
And the worst part about that is they won't, right? Because then like 20% or 30% of that goes to lawyers.
Of course.
But the worst part about it is there's usually an indemnification clause which says now that you've been paid, you cannot sue us ever again. The problems are yours, and no one can sue us for this problem because we've stopped it. So I never know how to quite feel with like these, particularly the health ones. Like TD Bank, they're gonna like work with terrorists all as much as they want or try to, and just pay a fine and then move on if they get caught. These there are people that don't move on, right? Like in a more
I'm not hearing a good
way.
Score coming. I'm hearing a low score coming.
It feels like a 4 because it's not a nothing, but it's still like just makes me feel icky.
And can I just say hats off to Fortune magazine, Fortune.com, for their reporting on this story, because this story is accompanied by a giant, literally, I mean giant. It's full screen on my like 3-inch monitor or whatever. Full screen picture of the CEO of GSK, and I think it's because it's a blonde woman named Emma Walmsley.
No, I don't like that. I don't
you
like that
don't
at all.
usually see a giant picture of the CEO like implicated in these stories, but you do. But when it's a woman, especially when it's a blonde woman, you do tend to see them kind of named and shamed. So good going,
great.
Fortune.com.
That makes me feel not good. Should I lower the score?
I don't know. It's too late. Let's move on. Last one in our stakeholders rule category. This might be easier for you. The Department of Justice indicates it's considering Google breakup following monopoly ruling. I love that we don't even know the name of the company. Google breakup.
It's Alphabet, not Google. And
I mean, Google is a search. It's a search function.
And it's not Alphabet or Google. It is Sergey Brin and Larry Page. They
True,
own
true
the
that.
voting control. So you're breaking up the empire of two dudes. That's what you're doing. Just remember, they're just not the CEO. Doesn't mean they don't still have voting power control over the company. We covered this on Goodliest. I said it was Goodliest, and you argued against it being Goodliest.
But this is your time to shine, not mine. I don't have a say in this. I just want I want Zuck and Meta platforms to be broken out. That's all.
I really hate that, like, because of the way the antitrust rules are worded, it has to do harm specific to a customer. So a free service is very difficult to ever bring up for antitrust, right? Because proving the harm to the customer by giving them something for free, they don't have to take it, right? So it insulates Zuck in a way that, like, Google hasn't been insulated, because the harm is not to, like, an individual, but the harm is to businesses and advertisers, right? Like, that's what this was about. It makes me uncomfortable, but I'm going to give this a 6.
I think it might be too late anyway. I think a lot of the search function has
that's what you said before.
Gone away from Google, right? I mean, especially you were talking about AI at the top of the show. People are using that more and more often for their searching needs. All right, that's it. Let's move on to our speed round. Let's end this show. This is a good game.
Oh, wow. Hold on.
2024.
That's the best part of this game so far. Let's end this show.
And this is I'm gonna let you define the parameters of speed. You can go quickly. Speed is it's a relative term, right?
Okay.
I mean, technically 1 mile per hour in your new EV could be your speed, right? Or it could be 100 miles an hour. You see where I'm going here?
Is it a Chinese EV? Because then
never.
it would be cheaper,
Absolutely
too.
not. First headline in our speed round for the good game. JetBlue is axing hot meals for economy flyers as it looks to cut costs.
2 things are a problem. Number 1, only economy flyers.
Okay.
But number 2, that's not food. So it's kind of like a mixed bag. I give it a 5.
You're absolutely wrong about that one. First of all, as someone who only flies economy, I hate the smell of hot food on flights.
Really?
So that we're going to just
very
have
specific to you.
peanut butter and jelly and like cheese wedge. I'm thrilled. I hate the smell of
They
that
can't do
hot
peanut butter and
brown
jelly because
food
of
they serve.
all the people who are allergic. So then what are you going to get?
I don't care about. Not a problem.
Lactose intolerant. They're just going to give you cheese, cold cheese.
South Park creator Matt Stone asks if OpenAI CEO Sam Altman does anything other than go on podcasts. That's the headline.
Correct.
That's the actual headline.
That's all he does do. He just talks.
One of the best headlines I've seen in a long time, by the way.
That's why Elon Musk bought a social media company. These are people who love hearing themselves talk. And we, as a person who loves hearing himself talk, I can speak to this. Like, I'm empathetic.
Yeah, you're the CEO of a small company.
That made its own media arm just to hear itself talk. This is a 5. I don't know. I don't know.
I thought you'd appreciate the humor there. I like that one. And finally, on the good game, October 15th, 2024, and then we'll get to the scores and the speed round. Elon Musk's underground transit system in Las Vegas is a magnet to trespassers and confused drivers who have to be escorted out.
I love this. Yes. That's
what
a 10. That's
the
the
stupidest thing I ever
stupidity.
heard. All right.
That is basically as stupid as it gets for anybody involved.
Including me picking the story.
Wrap me up what I get.
It would help if I had spelled the formula right in my calculation. You a little bit up. You're up to a 5.9. You're a 6. It's a 6. It's a little bit better. It's 6.
Am I? Well,
up from a 5 last time. Up from a 5.
My last kid with pneumonia just got out of the house.
Exactly.
So
you said that everyone's back at school today, right?
They all went back to school today.
So
I have this feeling they're all getting something else. Like, they all are kind of like. So it's just like a day or two that I'm going to get.
They're getting. They're catching IBS today. That's what they're getting.
That's what my fear. That's all we got. That's Hazelnut Rawless. I'm your analyst, Matt Muscardi. We are Free Float. We'll be back on Thursday with Parker Hannafin on the Proxy Countdown. We are dropping a shareholder primacy on Wednesday. That's Mike Levin and Ann Lipton's podcast. Really, they're fabulous. And on Friday, we'll wrap up the week. Until then, goodbye.